Hey guys, welcome to Module 1, Section 1 of the Mastermind Content, Anxiety and Depression program. Now, this is where we get into the nitty gritty of the course material. But before we dive straight into the archetypes and the tools, it's important to get a bit of background on what anxiety and depression actually are. So, in Module 1, we're going to talk about how your anxiety and depression developed because it's not the same for everyone. And we'll explain how this program helps you to overcome your condition. Now, Module 1 might feel a bit technical because we're delving into psychology, but this information is really useful to know. So if you can, please stick with it. Okay, so let's jump right in with the 3 keys to fighting anxiety and depression as I see it. Now, the first one is emotional insecurity, which typically is seeded in early childhood, but then will develop into subconscious programs, which can become anxiety and depression as early as your teens, but certainly you can carry these energies into adulthood. And if emotional insecurities are at the root of your anxiety and depression, we'll need to take a look at how you can develop things like self-worth, self-confidence, and self-respect. So the second key to fighting anxiety and depression and a root cause is having no purpose and meaning in your life. What this means is when your life has got no direction, you don't have any passions to pursue, and it's the passions that give you the zest for life. It gives you the impetus to engage with life. So if you're not engaging with life, you're falling into depression because your energy is becoming stagnant. Now, this is key to notice. So think about a still pool of water that is not cleaned or cleansed. It becomes filled with bacteria, fungi, and disease. Well, the same thing happens with energy that becomes stagnant. In that, by that I mean that it's just following the same cycle of patterns of behavior and not expressing itself in many different ways that bring this energy to life. Now, the last root cause of anxiety and depression is when you become disconnected from yourself. And by this, I mean your essence, or what's known as your true nature. This is your guide through life. Now, when you're disconnected from yourself, you essentially look to the external world to find comfort and resolve your issues, whereas the answers are actually within. So when you disconnect from yourself, your essence basically creates conflicts in your life by creating complexes. And depression is one of these conflicts, one of these complexes. But I'll explain that in the next session. First of all, I just want to give you this quote from the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. Jung noted, "When we suffer from lack of psychic energy, we say we have a depression or an inhibition, not realizing that part of our mental hierarchy has gone away beyond our control, that we have in fact lost our soul." Now, by soul, Jung is really referring to the whole personality, to the psyche. Now, we'll discuss the reasons behind depression in greater depth in Module 2.1, but first I want to explain how anxiety and depression surface and what you need to do to address them. Now, I can show you, if you take the advice and follow the steps in this course, then you will be able to fight anxiety and depression sooner. So what is depression? Well, depression is essentially repressed consciousness or repressed emotions. It's part of your personality that has been pushed down into the unconscious. It has been denied expression. So think about it this way: repression becomes depression. We need to express consciousness and engage with life so that we can expand conscious awareness and enjoy life and live a happy and fulfilling life. So this is how we start to fight anxiety and depression. Now, every experience you have from your past becomes a memory. Your memories are stored in the subconscious, which is essentially your nervous system. And I'll be talking more about how the nervous system works in an article in the VIP members section, which you can link to directly from the handbook. But it's important to note that subconscious programs can also be created by the archetypal energies, what we're calling the archetypes, that project onto the conscious mind and essentially take possession of the ego. Or you could say that the ego identifies with these programs because at the time when you needed them, it provided a source of comfort for you, or it provided a solution to a problem. So the ego identified with it because it felt, okay, I need this because it helps us to survive. But the problem is that the subconscious programs are essentially the habitual mind. It keeps us in these cycles of repetitive thoughts, emotions, and actions which generate the same energies. And when we generate the same energies, we have the same experiences. So to start fighting anxiety and depression, we need to observe these patterns of behavior and change the way that we either think, feel, or act, or maybe adapt our mindset, our attitudes, and beliefs. I want you just to make note of this important note. It is our thoughts, actions, and emotions that create our experiences in life, including how we feel. This will not be the last time you hear this. Now, the goal of this program is to identify these subconscious programs that cause problems in your life and replace those programs with natural ability to cultivate joy and happiness and success, abundance, bonding and meaningful relationships, etc. Whatever it is you need to develop in your life, you can use these tools. And it all requires integrating missing aspects of your personality into the conscious mind. Okay, now to help you with this, we've developed this archetypes tool, which shows you the archetypal energies that have taken possession of your ego and are subsequently creating problems in your life through decision making and patterns of behavior. This is what Jung called a complex. More importantly, the archetypes tool highlights the aspects of your personality that have not been given expression. Now, these missing attributes of your personality have been repressed or ignored, so they need to be given expression. Remember, repressed energies become depression. When you observe aspects of your personality and give them life, you express these energies. So when you express these energies, you then release the consciousness that has been repressed. Essentially, you give unlived energies life. And this is the process of healing emotional wounds or repressed emotions and basically fighting anxiety and depression. So in this course, you will learn to recognize your subconscious programs that are contributing to your anxiety and depression. And there's probably several. But once you have identified these subconscious programs, you're in a better place to implement effective solutions that work for you because they enable you to manage and fight depression against the causes that caused your anxiety and depression. Like I said before, there's no one set cause of anxiety and depression. So the takeaway for this session is to understand that repressed emotions cause depression, but expressing your emotions help you to fight depression. Now, in the next session, we're going to look more closely at how the mind-body system essentially works, but how we think influences how we feel. This is really important to understand because it explains how repressed consciousness takes possession of the ego in the forms of complexes, neurosis, and then disease. So I want to show you how integrating and debilitating energies become either optimum health or disease. Okay? That's all for me for now, so I shall see you in the next session.